In a post-apocalyptic world, humans have their worth measured by a number printed on their bodies. If it ever reaches 0, they are dragged into the dark abyss. As such, Hina witnesses her mother being dragged into the abyss, but not before her mother gives her a glass orb with 10,000 inside it and tells her to find the legendary ace with the white star. Thus, Hina searches for 5 years until one day she meets Licht, a masked weirdo idiot, and his boss, Nana, who explains that all people are forced to obey orders from anyone with a higher number. Hina then explains that her number, 441, comes from her having walked 44,100 kilometers. She also meets a sergeant major with a star on his face who claims to be the so-called ace. He attempts to do weird things to her until she shows him the 10,000 orb, which he identifies as a ballot, so he tries to take it from her. As Hina has a higher number, she orders him to stop, but he tricks her into a star stake, the duel wagering their numbers, and after severely beating her, he takes the number 440 from her, leaving her with only 1. He reveals that he is actually not the ace, as the legend of the ace is 300 years old, meaning the ace is long dead. However, Licht suddenly arrives and wagers his own number, -999. As they duel, the sergeant realizes that such a number is impossible unless Licht is a ballot holder with a numbered ballot to artificially raise his number back above 0. Licht then reveals himself as Lichtback, the real legendary ace, with a white star and 5700 printed on his sword, the number of enemies he has already defeated. As such, he swears that he will force the sergeant to give back Hina's 440. It's then revealed that centuries ago, a great war known as the Abandonment War raged across the planet. A group of warriors known as aces distinguished themselves with feats of superhuman strength, only to vanish and never been seen again once the war ended. Back in the present, Licht easily defeats the soldiers with his super speed, showing that his footsteps contain enough power to shatter the ground. Nana then explains Licht's speed earned him the name Ace of Flashing Strikes, and that while his 5700 is the number of his defeated enemies, his -999 is the number of women who have rejected him. Nevertheless, Licht easily defeats the sergeant, reducing his number to 1 and giving Hina not only her stolen 440, but the rest of his number as well, raising Hina's number to 760. However, Licht suddenly steals Hina's 10,000 ballot, leaving her a stuffed doll in exchange. Thus, Hina is devastated at losing her memento of her mother, but Nana later reveals Licht hid the ballot in the doll and only pretended to steal it in front of witnesses, since ballots are illegal, meaning that the soldiers will only search for him and they'll leave Hina alone. As such, Hina tearfully tries to stop Licht from leaving, but when he ignores her pleas, she shouts that she hates him, changing his -999 to -1000. Hina is then suddenly confronted by one of the soldiers, who reveals he is actually a spy. He thanks her for helping him and informs his real masters that Licht, one of the legendary Red Barons, has finally been located. So the army ignores Hina and they begin the search for Licht, believing him to have the ballot. Thus, Master Sergeant Lin Mei and her subordinate, Sergeant Pel Poporo, are stationed in a peaceful village where Lin spends her time volunteering as her count goes up based on how many desperate people she helps. Based on a description of Licht, Lin apprehends a nearby masked man, who coincidentally does happen to be Licht, but he holds onto his mask by revealing his -1000 and crying over the women who have rejected him. Following terrible advice from Pel, Lin tries to help Licht feel better with a pity date, only for Licht's typical weirdo behavior to actually cause Lin's count to rise, as the no-no axe helps the desperately perverse Licht feel much better. However, Pel suddenly points out that Licht's -1000 means he must be a ballot holder, something that Lin had not yet figured out, so she removes his mask, which reveals his true identity. Thus, Licht steals her sword, only to realize Lin is also a proficient martial artist. During the short fight, she becomes so flustered by Licht's amazing flirting that he manages to escape when she closes her eyes expecting a kiss, greatly irritating her. Meanwhile, a lieutenant named Jael Murdoch interrogates Nana to learn about Licht's whereabouts, destroying her food wagon in the process when she tries to lie, and then finally setting out to hunt Licht, the powerful weirdo, down. Back to following Licht's escape, Lin has continued her volunteer work but is despondent over having lost a potential promotion. However, Licht reappears, so she chases him throughout the village, where several misunderstandings lead the villagers to think she and Licht are having a lover's quarrel, and unfortunately, Licht escapes again when she complains about her uniform always exposing her undies. Meanwhile, Hina decides she must warn Licht about Lieutenant Murdoch, but cannot head out as they must first rebuild Nana's wagon. On the other hand, Licht wonders about the villagers who It's then revealed that his true number is actually 12,500, twice over Lickt's number. Thus, Murdoch succeeds in taking Lickt's sword, but he surprisingly gives it back. He then reveals his number represents his convictions and that his iron weapons are strengthened by his convictions and have never been cut. Nevertheless, he traps Licht, so he surrenders. However, Murdoch accuses Licht of once being a soldier based on his fighting style. When Licht refuses to answer, Murdoch decides to torture him, but Lin steps in only to be injured. Murdoch, disgusted by Lin's failure to punish criminals in favor of her charity work, berates her. Lin almost instantly apologizes until Licht stops her. He then breaks free from his restraints, revealing he was always capable of breaking Murdoch's iron weapons. Now both him and Murdoch unleash their true powers, where Licht demands he apologizes for assuming Lin is lazy, when in reality she constantly works harder than everyone. Their battle ends up collapsing a cliff, which sends Lin falling, and a repentant Murdoch tries to catch her, but Sigma male Licht catches her first. Surprisingly, he manages to insult her, which angers her, causing his count to decrease once again, and this time to -1,001. He then passes her to Murdoch, who lets him escape. Finally, realizing Licht was right, Murdoch creates a play area for the village's children from his iron, deciding to give Licht a 3-day head start before resuming his search for the legendary weirdo, with Lin joining and accompanying him. As he reluctantly fixes a child's broken doll, his 12,500 decreases to 12,499 for giving up on his conviction to catch Licht. Fast forward time, and Licht is found by Hina and Nana, where he learns that after his fight against the Iron Jail Murdoch, all the roads have been blocked in search for him. Meanwhile, Hina appears jealous that Licht was seemingly fighting for another woman and scolds him for leaving her behind. Later, Licht is forced to save a girl named Pelmo from falling to her death in an experimental airplane. Afterwards, she asks Licht and Hina to help make her dream of flight come true, even though researching flight is a crime punishable by death. As such, Licht modifies her latest design, but worries he has only put her in danger despite Hina praising him. Hina then asks what Licht's dream is, but he refuses to reveal it, instead claiming it is to see her undies, such a smooth man. However, Pelmo interrupts, having finished the new airplane. Soldiers then arrive, and Licht is unfortunately forced to destroy the airplane, where the soldiers leave after being convinced that the wings were instead broken windmill sails. However, an abyss suddenly opens up, and Pelmo reveals her count was based on her dreams coming true, but it went down each time her airplanes failed to fly, and now it has reached 0. Thus, Hina tries to save her, but the abyss fights back, and then Licht tries to save her, but when the abyss hits his sword, he suffers a violent flashback. However, Pelmo happily enters the abyss, convinced it is not her demise, but actually the door to another world, and promises to see them again one day. Meanwhile, Licht almost passes out as numbers flash in his left eye.